Hey, you guys, let's talk about book journals and let's talk about how you can start a book journal if you're interested. I keep a book journal. I've been keeping a book journal since 2012. I've journaled every book I've read over since 2012. This is how I do it. So, first thing I do is put a picture of the book right in the center. This is how I start a new entry. So, for every book you see at the top, that's a new entry. I put this book here, and then on one side, I write the day I started reading the book, how many stars I give the book, whether it's an audio book, the format, whether it's audio, hard copy, ebook. In this case, this is an audio book, so I put the time. This book is 9 hours, 42 minutes long. I put the date that the book was finished. I put the date that I actually journaled the book. Now, in my earlier journals, I didn't do this, but I started doing it later because I started falling behind in my journaling. And so when I read the book and when I complete the book is often a different time from when I journal it. So I write the journal date, then I write the publication date. Then here I write the title, I write the author's name, and then the first thing I write is my experience with the book. I usually write how I acquired the book, whether it's through a publisher, whether an author sent it to me for review, or whether I purchased the book myself. And then after that, I'll, write about my thoughts of the book. Sometimes I don't even write my thoughts of the book. I just write about the story of me receiving the book. Sometimes it's an interesting story where, like an author could send me a DM and we may have a conversation, or I may go to a book fair and I may, meet the author at a book fair and then I've acquired a book that way. Or sometimes it's the journey I've had with the book, meaning I may go somewhere special and take the book with me and read it at that place, so it's kind of like the story of me and that book together. To give you an example, I went on a business trip to Texas and I hate flying. And I took Common's book with me. And so in this section, I journal what happened, how I felt flying, how calm I felt having my book with me, and just that journey of being in Texas, reading where I was, what I did when I had the book, all of those things. So I write that. And then afterwards, I write gathered wisdom. Now, the gathered wisdom part is the most important part for me. That's my favorite part of the book. The journal entry. So by that, I mean, what I do here is trying to find one that has gathered wisdom. As you can see, I put pictures, you know. Now, look at these pictures. You see those pictures down there? Those my grandkids. So what made this, when I just talked to you about what I put inside, what made this book special to me, this is Believe for It by CeCe Winans. What made this book special is because I read this book and she gave some advice on spending time with family in church, right? I took my grandkids to church the beginning of the school year to have them prayed over. And I would have never done that had I not read this book because I wouldn't have thought to do it. It's not that I didn't want to, it's just that I didn't think about it. So after reading this book, I said, that is a really good concept, And so that's what these pictures are. After we went to church, we went out to eat. So I put that in there. And that's what I mean by I have stories with my books, and that's what's here. So getting back to the gathered wisdom. Okay, so here I have gathered wisdom from that book. So I take the page number and then I write word for word whatever it is that I want to remember. Words of wisdom. So I do that for every single book, and then if it doesn't have any gathered wisdom, meaning there's nothing in that book that was said that I feel like, oh, this is valuable information, I want to keep this forever. Not only do I want to keep it, but I want my children to be able to read it. I want my grandchildren to be able to read it. When they become, of age and they can read, I want them to have all of the wisdom from every book that I've ever read. And the only way I can guarantee that they have that is to write it down. Because once it's in my head, if I don't write it down, I can't pass that wisdom on to the future generations. But once you write it down, you can pass the wisdom on to future generations. And that is why I feel like gathered wisdom is the most important part of my book journals. So here's one of my journal entries for Eve's book. Who's that girl? All the information I told you on both sides. This is my experience with the book. This is one of the pictures that I took. So I went to her literary event when she came to Philly. And then I also put this in there. See that? That's the title page that she autographed. I put all of my autographs. Whenever an author autographs a book for me, I put it in my book journals. Now, I do this for a reason. And some people felt like, why would you, take the autograph out of the book? Because now, first of all, people don't like the fact that I take pages out of the book, but so what? That's another story. The reason why I do this is because I'm thinking about legacy. When I'm no longer here, I'm going to have a ton of books, a ton. Nobody's going to want to keep those books. I already know that. My children are not avid readers. They read, but they're not avid readers. They're not going to want to keep this whole entire big library. And then you don't know I work in real estate, so I see estate sales and I see this stuff given away every day because a loved one is no longer here. You don't want to go through each book to see which book has an autograph, which book doesn't, what book, they're not going to do that. So what I did is I decided if I put it all in one book, now this book, this journal becomes a little power pack. It's like and it even could possibly be worth money in the future, knowing that you have all of these signatures, these autographs in one space. So anyway, I put those in there and the pictures, here I put this as a back piece to Venus Williams' book, just so that you could see. This is the paper that came because this book was gifted to me by the publisher. So I put the invoice that the publisher sends to me to prove that this book was gifted to me and it was free. So that's in there, the invoice. And then I go on to the gathered wisdom. So as you can see, I started taking the pages out of the book because it's too much to write, but yet it's some really good information here. I didn't want to just leave it in the book, so I took it out. So now I have all of the meat of the book right here, right? And then I moved on to Kenny G. Here's a couple. This was a digital copy that was gifted to me by the publisher. So you see me with my Kindle. And that's what I do. That's how I keep a book journal. Power Moves. Now, this one is interesting because this was an audiobook. So when I have audiobooks, I don't really write the gathered wisdom because it's harder. It's harder to listen. You can take notes with your audiobook. They have that feature. But it's still hard to go back and listen to what they're saying and write it down and listen. And then you got to fast forward and rewind it and all that stuff. I don't want to do that. It's too much. It takes the fun out of journaling. So I don't do. That's why there's not a lot of gathered wisdom here. It's not that there wasn't a lot of good information in this book. It's just that it was the audio version. And then you have books like this one. This is Nina Cherry. This one was also gifted to me by the publisher. And, my book pictures that I took with the book are all in here. And, yeah, so that's my book journals. I wanted to share that. This is a lengthy video. It's almost 10 minutes long. I don't even know if Instagram's going to allow me to post this. But I feel like somebody needed to know how to create a book journal so that they can start. There you go. My book journal.